I just want to start with Buddha's health. Obviously, spent the night overnight and is back. Can you tell us anything more about his situation? Was it just a concussion? How's everything else feeling with him and the rest of your guys?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Luckily, he's back, and talking to Tom Reed today, it was a concussion, and he's here resting now. So that's great news.
Cliff, I know there's lots of things to be done in the off season in terms of evaluating players and that kind of stuff. What's the timeline for you guys to get into talking about, what free agents you might want to keep, what roster changes you might want to make? Do you take some downtime or do you get right to it?
No, we'll start talking about it. Today, tomorrow, the next couple of days while it's fresh, and all the coaches are doing exit interviews and working through that. I mean, it's an ongoing process, and Steve does a great job of getting right into it. And there'll be some tough decisions to make, and we got to figure some things out.
Hey, Cliff, just going into the offseason, where do you think Kyler can improve the most?
Yeah, I mean, he's made big strides each and every year, and I think we got to stay on that path. Obviously, we didn't finish the season the way any of us would have liked, but that doesn't take away from the fact of the big strides he's made, not only on the field but off the field as well. And so we just got to stay on that path. He's gotten better every year significantly, and if we can do the same next year, we'll be in good shape.
Bob, will go to you, Greg, and Danny.
Sounds good. Cliff, I know there's a lot of explanations for how things ended up the way they were, not just Monday night, but one of them that we always have talked about was the absence of D-Hop. And for a guy who missed 7 games and still ended up leading your team with 8 touchdown receptions, how impactful was his loss to what happened to you guys?
It was impactful. There's no doubt. I mean, he's one of the top players in the entire league at any position, and particularly in the red zone. I think you saw some struggles there as far as touchdown percentage, things of that nature. I mean, he's a guy you got to know where he's at as a defense each and every snap, and got to do things to try and take him away, and that opens up other aspects of your offense, and so he's got a big value when it comes to being on the field, and unfortunately we didn't have him some, and we got to learn from that and be better the next time he happens to miss time. Hopefully it's not very often.
Cliff, thanks for your time today. Sorry about the way things ended and the tough loss yesterday. It had to have been rough on you. I'm curious, man. I just hate the state of affairs for African-American coaches, head coaches in the NFL right now. There's one. And I have trouble with that. That sits with me. And it got me to thinking, I wonder if there are not more white people who could be allies and advocates who could speak out on behalf of Black coaches who maybe need an opportunity. And it occurred to me that you might have friends around the league, African-American coaches who you believe are worthy of a shot. And I was curious if you could take a moment to just speak to the lack of African-American coaches and name some guys who you think maybe deserve an opportunity.
Yeah, we have one that I've talked about at length on our staff in Vance Joseph. Tremendous coach, man, person. I've said it, the entire year. I think he is very deserving. He's been a head coach before, and I think he'll be one again. Watching him operate day-to-day basis, the respect the players have for him and how he treats people, I think he'll be a head coach again in this league in short order.
Cliff, I know this is obviously still fresh, but when you start to look in hindsight from how this team started to how they finished, where do you see the turning point was?
Yeah, we started hot, there's no doubt. I think week 7, 8, you lose Hop, you lose JJ, you lose K1. That obviously makes it tough. I thought we did a good job of overcoming adversity there, going 2-1 with Colt. Winning 2 big road games in the division, and then later on when adversity struck, we didn't respond as well. But that's this league, and you're going to face it, and you got to find ways to win despite different things that arise, and we got to figure out how to be better at that at the end of the season.
Next up, please, Dana, David, and Bob.
Coach, I know that the coaching carousel is going around the NFL, but how it's a two-part question. How do you like the prospects of retaining your staff for next season? And have you looked at any prospects on the side of planning for games, the draft, that spot at 23?
Yeah, we stay abreast of those prospects throughout the year. Obviously, we have games to prepare for, but we'll make sure that we kind of know who's out there for when that evaluation period comes. And then as far as staff goes, we'll do a deep dive into all that over the next few days and take it from there.
Hey, Kliff, I know you're obviously a guy who's always been very, just kind of steady and low key, never too high, never too low. And that's been kind of your thing. And I know also hindsight's 2020, but do you wish there was some point in this last 6 or 7 weeks where, I don't know if fire and brimstone's really, you know what I mean, that you had done something to maybe shake things up a little more? Do you kind of go through your mind on what happened this last month or so?
Yeah, you definitely reflect, and there are things you do throughout the week behind the scenes to try and change the mojo, if you will, and try to stir things up. And sometimes they work, and sometimes they don't. But that's like I said, that's part of this league, week in and week out. Being able to put your best foot forward is a challenge, and we have to be better at that at the end of the season.
If I know this is a conversation for you, Stephen, and everybody, upstairs, but 2 running backs set to become free agents. You know what both can do, and I know how much you like them both. What are your just personal thoughts on those 2 guys, and how much you'd like to continue working with them, if possible?
Yeah, huge fans of both those guys. I mean, you can't ask for 2 guys that work harder, do things the right way. They're dialed in each and every day, and they both earned good deals as far as I'm concerned. I hope that we can afford both guys because they both had fantastic seasons and they deserve to get nice contracts. But I would love to have them both back. I think they complement each other really well in our system, and so I'm hoping that that's how it plays out.
Next up, we've got Darren, Josh, Bob.
Kliff, with Zaven and Isaiah, two parts. One, Isaiah seemed to share some time with Tanner yesterday. Was that a game plan thing? Was he impacted by having to miss that practice last week? And then overall, do you expect those 2 guys to be able to step in and do a lot more next year, considering especially Zaven not playing a whole lot?
Yeah, it was a game plan situation, and we hope they'll be able to have more in an off season this off season. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet, and continue to develop and step in and have more prominent roles.
Hey, Kliff, obviously you guys had the late season slide this year following a one last year. If you go back in your career, it's kind of been a trend since you started Texas Tech. Is there kind of an overarching reason why you think your teams have struggled in the second half of the seasons throughout?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't done the research on that exactly back to the Texas Tech years. But, the last couple, for whatever reasons, we haven't been as sharp. And that's something I got to continue to evaluate and figure out what we need to do, whether it's practice structure or different things of that nature, because we got to be better. This league is about closing strong and building momentum into the playoffs. And unfortunately, we didn't do that.
It looked to us, I mean, at least to me, that Marco had a tough game there. We don't know about all the assignments, but was there a reason that Breland didn't play? And do you think Marco will be able to learn from last night?
Yeah, I think you always learn from it. As tough as it may be in the moment, a playoff game trying to cover some of the top receivers in the league as a rookie. It's an opportunity to grow a lot, even though it was tough at times for him. We understood that. And then Breland, he wasn't able to practice as much as we'd have liked because he was sick a day last week, and unfortunately that kind of kept him out of the lineup.
Next up, how about Danny, Alex, and Darren?
We hear throughout the year a lot players talking about having to trust the process. Personally, when you look at your growth these last 3 years, are you taking a similar approach when you look at how much this team has progressed every season?
Yeah, I mean it's hard after a loss like that to see the whole picture, but you definitely want to be pragmatic in your approach and see where it's started and where it's at now. And we've got a lot of work to do, and we want to be better and finish strong on all of those things. But we definitely improved dramatically in the first 3 years, and we're hoping to do the same next year. And we're going to have to. The NFC West is a challenge year in and year out with great players and great teams, and we got to make some real progress if we want to keep up.
Hey, Coach, I was curious, what were the injuries to DeAndre and Robert Alford, and if those could potentially impact them going into next year?
I think Hop should be fine over the next month or so, and Alford, kind of the same deal. He'll have a couple more months of rehab, and we'll see, how that plays out. But I know Hop will be here. I'm not sure on Rob just yet as far as his contract situation.
Kliff, with the offensive line, it felt like it was really solid early in the season. You guys had so many injuries. You guys try to work that depth. Do you still like that depth? Do you feel like there needs to be some upgrades here or there to make that work to where you guys want it?
Yeah, we're always going to be trying to improve that group, whether it's bringing in young players, drafting guys. There's no doubt, but you said it. I thought that group battled through an injury-plagued season and was productive most of the year. It's some tough assignments there, trying to block some of these guys in our division, but was really proud of their effort throughout the year and different guys stepping in and finding ways to get it done at different points in the season.
Looks like we have just four more. Dana, Bob, Josh, and Alex.
Coach, does it feel like the superstition of the beard is pretty much just was kind of a just hoax at this point?
Yeah, it obviously didn't work out very well for me.
Hey, Cliff, sorry about that. I forgot what I was going to ask you now, but I'm sure it was important. Oh, here it is. Salary caps are going up exponentially. Obviously, you got to deal with the COVID restrictions last couple of years. Are you confident? I mean, Steven said he's fairly confident that he can do what his buddy Jason Light did down in Tampa and try and bring back all the core guys that you want to. Do you think that's possible financially?
I hope so. I mean, there's some guys that have earned some nice paydays, at the end of this deal, and that's what you want for all your players, for them to be successful. But I feel like we're in a good position to do that.
Hey, Kliff, a two-parter about Kyler. One, the first part is, where have you seen his growth from day one of this season to today? And the second part is, how much do you think last night will help him going forward and kind of in the long run?
Yeah, I think, there's been growth at times in the back half. We didn't play our best, there's no doubt. But when you look what he was able to do, even through some of the tougher games, keep us in it, battle, stay in it when it was kind of grimy and ugly. Those are all steps that people don't see, that you got to be able to do in this league. And anytime you get playoff experience, it's invaluable. It's tough as a game and situation that was. He's going to learn from it. He's going to be better moving forward. And hopefully when we're in that position again, we can all be a lot better.
How would you evaluate Josh Jones's second season overall? And then also, what setback did Justin Murray suffer through, and will that affect him going into next year potentially?
Yeah, Justin had a back injury, had a procedure done, and I spoke to him today. I think he's released fully February 28th, and so I think he'll have plenty of time to prepare for training camp. And I thought Josh progressed, played a lot more guard than he had throughout his career there in college, and so was getting familiar with that, which was good to have some swing capability to be able to play guard and tackle. And we just got to keep him on the right track. He's made strides the first 2 years, and we need him next year to really step up.